They chained an innocent Omega girl and threw her into the Forbidden Woods to die. Her mate rejected her. Her pack betrayed her. But they made one terrible mistake. The blood that fell from her wounds awakened a sleeping king who had been dead for 1,000 years. And when the rejected girl returned, she was no longer an Omega. She was the lost queen and the mother of the kingdom's hidden heirs. The first stone hit her shoulder so hard that she fell to her knees. The crowd cheered. Another stone struck her arm. Then another. Blood ran down Elara Ashwood's cheek and dripped onto the cold ground. Her hands were tied behind her back and heavy chains circled her wrists. The iron cut into her skin every time she moved. She lifted her head slowly. Hundreds of wolves stood around her in the center of the pack square. Faces she had known her entire life stared at her with hatred. The baker whose son she had healed. The old woman whose herbs she gathered every winter. The children who used to run after her and call her sister. Now they looked at her as if she were a monster. The moon hung high above the square. Silver light spilled over everything. The night should have been beautiful. Instead it felt like the end of the world. A loud voice rose above the crowd. Witch! Another voice answered. Traitor! Then the shouting became one terrible roar. Kill her! Elara's chest tightened. She had no idea how her life had become this nightmare in a single evening. Only a few hours ago she had been happy. It was her 18th birthday. She had been carrying herbs to the healing house and smiling to herself because the moon felt different tonight. Brighter. Warmer. Then she had walked into the palace gardens. And she had seen him. Prince Kael Thornheart. The future alpha. Tall and powerful with dark hair and eyes the color of a winter sky. The moment he looked at her, the world had stopped. A strange warmth had spread through her chest. Her wolf had whispered one word. She had nearly dropped the basket in her hands. The moon goddess had given her a mate. The prince. The most powerful man in the kingdom. Then he had stepped toward her. She still remembered the way his eyes widened. He had felt it too. For one impossible moment she thought her life had become a dream. Then another woman had appeared. Celine Voss. Beautiful. Elegant. Dangerous. She slipped her hand through Kael's arm and looked at Elara as if she were dirt beneath her shoes. The dream had shattered. Now Elara knelt in chains while the same woman stood beside the prince wearing a satisfied smile. Celine stepped forward. Her white dress moved like water in the moonlight. You should confess your crimes, she said softly. I committed no crime. Elara answered. You used forbidden magic to force the prince to become your mate. I did not. Celine sighed sadly as if she were speaking to a foolish child. So many people saw you in the garden. I only met him. Liar. The word cracked through the night. Elara looked at Kael. He had not spoken once. Not once. He stood beside the elders wearing black ceremonial clothing. His face looked hard as stone. But there was something strange in his eyes. Pain. Fear. Regret. She could not understand it. Kael, she whispered. The sound of his name seemed to wound him. His jaw tightened. An elder stepped forward. Elara Ashwood. You stand accused of forbidden magic and treason against the future alpha. The crowd roared again. I am innocent. No one believes you. Tears filled her eyes. She looked around desperately. There had to be someone. One person. Anyone. No one moved. No one spoke. The silence hurt more than the stones. Celine suddenly fell to her knees. Tears spilled down her perfect face. I trusted her. I welcomed her into my home. And she tried to steal my mate. The crowd gasped. Elara stared at her in disbelief. 'Twas a lie. Every word. But Celine cried so beautifully that even Elara almost wanted to believe her. The elder turned toward Kael. Prince. The girl claims innocence. What is your judgment? The entire square became silent. Even the wind stopped. Elara held her breath. Kael looked at her. Straight at her. She saw a storm inside his eyes. He looked angry. And broken. Then he took one step forward. His voice came out low and rough. I reject Elara Ashwood as my mate. The world ended. Pain exploded inside her chest. She screamed. Her knees hit the ground. It felt as though invisible claws had ripped her heart apart. She could not breathe, could not think. The crowd watched in silence. The sacred mate bond had been broken. Tears streamed down her face. Why? She whispered. Kael looked away. That hurt more than the rejection. The elder raised his hand. The accused is condemned to death. The words echoed across the square. Elara closed her eyes. This was really happening. She would never see another sunrise. Never walk through the forest again. Never hear laughter. Never have a family. Nothing. The crowd moved aside. 2 guards grabbed her arms and dragged her toward the giant gates at the edge of the pack lands. She knew those gates. Every child knew them. Beyond them lay the forbidden woods. A cursed forest where no wolf returned. People said monsters lived there. Ancient things. Things older than kingdoms. The gates creaked open. Darkness waited beyond. Cold and endless. Fear rushed through her. She turned one last time. Her eyes found Kael. Please. She did not say the word aloud. She did not need to. Her eyes begged for it. Save me. His hands curled into fists. For a heartbeat she thought he would move. He did not. The guards shoved her forward. She stumbled through the gates. The doors slammed shut behind her with a sound like thunder. Silence swallowed her. The forest was dark. The trees were twisted and enormous. Mist covered the ground. Even the moonlight seemed afraid to enter this place. Elara stood alone. Rejected. Condemned. Forgotten. A tear rolled down her face. Then she heard it. Howl. Ancient. Blows. Another answered. Then another. The woods trembled. Glowing eyes appeared between the trees. 1 pair. Then 10. Then hundreds. Elara's heart nearly stopped. The wolves were coming. And she had nowhere left to run. The glowing eyes moved closer. One after another they appeared between the trees until the darkness itself seemed alive. Elara's breath caught in her throat. She took a step back. Then another. A low growl rolled through the forest. The ground seemed to shake beneath her feet. The wolves were huge. Far bigger than any she had ever seen. Their fur was black as midnight and their eyes burned like embers. She turned and ran. Branches whipped across her face. Roots caught at her feet. The cold air tore into her lungs. Behind her came the sound of paws pounding against the earth. They were gaining on her. A cry escaped her lips. She had survived the stones and the humiliation only to die in this cursed place. A sharp root caught her ankle. She fell hard. Pain shot through her leg. The wolves stopped. Silence. Elara slowly looked up. A giant silver tree stood before her. Its leaves glowed softly in the darkness. Moonlight poured through its branches like liquid silver. At its roots rested an enormous stone coffin covered in strange symbols. The wolves did not move. They stared at the coffin. Their ears flattened. Fear entered their burning eyes. Then one of the creatures whimpered. The sight was so strange that Elara forgot her own terror. A drop of blood slipped from the cut on her forehead. Landed on the stone. Nothing happened. Then the symbols began to glow. The entire forest trembled. The wolves ran. Every one of them disappeared into the darkness. A deep crack echoed through the woods. The coffin split open. Golden light burst into the night. Elara covered her eyes. The earth shook harder. The silver tree began to glow. Then a voice came from inside the coffin. Deep voice. Ancient and powerful. I have waited long enough. The light faded. A man sat inside the broken stone. Long dark hair rested across black armor that looked untouched by time. His face was striking and severe. His eyes opened slowly. Gold. Not yellow. Not amber. Pure molten gold. He looked at Elara. And the air itself seemed to freeze. For a long moment neither of them moved. Then the man stood. He was taller than any wolf she had ever seen. Power rolled from him like waves from the sea. The forest bent around him. The branches lowered. Even the wind became still. Elara tried to stand, but her injured ankle gave way. The stranger reached her in one step and caught her before she fell. His hands were warm, surprisingly gentle. He stared at her face. His expression changed. Then something that looked almost like wonder. "You have her eyes." Elara swallowed. "Who are you?" The stranger did not answer at once. Instead he touched her cheek where the blood had dried. His fingers trembled. "I never thought I would see this day. Please tell me who you are." The man slowly lowered himself onto one knee. The sight made her heart skip. No one had ever knelt before her. "My name is Aeron Draven." The words struck her like lightning. Every child knew that name. The first Alpha King. The warrior who had united the kingdoms 1,000 years ago. The legend who had died centuries before her birth. She stared at him. "No. That is impossible." A small smile touched his lips. "I thought so too. You are dead." "I was." Silence filled the forest. Elara's hands began to shake. Nothing made sense anymore. A dead king stood before her. A dead king was kneeling to her. Then he said something even stranger. "You are not who you believe you are." She frowned. "I am Elara Ashwood." "No. That is only the name given to you." "What are you talking about?" Aeron rose slowly. The golden light around him grew brighter. "You carry royal blood." She stared at him. "You are the last daughter of the first Luna Queen." The words hung in the air. Then she laughed. A broken laugh. The kind that comes when pain has become too much. "I think I hit my head." Aeron did not smile. "You were hidden as a child. Your family was murdered to protect the throne." "No. You were never an Omega." "No. You were born a princess." "No." Her voice cracked. Tears filled her eyes. She shook her head again and again. She was an orphan. Healer. A rejected girl no one wanted. Not a princess. Never a princess. Aeron's face softened. "You have lived with lies your entire life. Stop. I know this is difficult. Stop." Her voice echoed through the trees. Silence followed. Aeron looked at her carefully. Then he did something unexpected. He removed a silver pendant from beneath his armor. The pendant carried the same symbol carved into the coffin. A crescent moon wrapped around a crown. Elara's breath caught. She had seen that symbol before. All her life. A small birthmark rested beneath her collarbone. The exact same shape. Her hand slowly rose to her neck. Aeron saw the movement. He nodded. "Now you understand." The world tilted. Her knees weakened. He caught her before she fell. She could hear her own heartbeat. Loud. "Yes. Impossible. I cannot be a princess." "You are." "Then why did my parents abandon me?" "They did not." Aeron's eyes darkened. "They died protecting you." The forest became silent once more. Elara felt something break inside her. She had spent her entire life believing no one wanted her. Now she learned she had been loved enough for people to die for her. Tears slid down her cheeks. Aeron let her cry. After a long time he spoke. "There are others searching for you." She looked up. "Who?" "The enemies who destroyed your family." Fear spread through her. "If they discover you are alive, they will come." "Why?" "Because your blood can restore the old kingdom." The wind moved through the silver leaves. Aeron's expression became serious. "You are in greater danger than you know." Elara looked toward the dark forest. Everything had changed. The pack had sentenced her to death. Now she was hearing that she belonged to a forgotten royal line. Nothing felt real. A sudden wave of dizziness struck her. She pressed a hand against her stomach. A strange warmth spread through her body. Aeron noticed. His golden eyes narrowed. "What is it?" "I do not know." The warmth grew stronger, then stronger still. Aeron slowly looked at her, then at her stomach. A shadow crossed his face. His expression turned to complete surprise. "What is wrong?" He did not answer. Instead he whispered something so softly she almost missed it. "The bloodline continues." Elara frowned. "I do not understand." Aeron lifted his eyes to hers. For the first time since waking he looked truly stunned. Then he said the words that changed her life again. "You are carrying children. You are carrying children." The words hung in the cold air. Elara stared at Aeron as though he had spoken another language. Then she laughed. A small frightened laugh. "No." Aeron did not move. "No. That cannot be true." He looked at her with calm golden eyes. "The royal blood inside you is awake. I can feel 2 heartbeats." He took a step back. "No." The warmth in her stomach suddenly returned. This time it was stronger. Soft flutter. Teeny. Antle. Her hand flew to her belly. The world seemed to stop. Her lips parted. She remembered the night of the moon festival. The night before everything had fallen apart. The strange pull between her and Kael. The way the moonlight had wrapped around them in the palace garden. The sacred bond had touched their souls before the rejection. Aeron watched understanding spread across her face. "The father is your mate." Tears filled her eyes. Her mate. The man who had rejected her. The man who had stood and watched as she was sent to die. A painful sound escaped her throat. She sank onto the roots of the silver tree. "I cannot do this." Aeron knelt beside her. "You can. I have nothing. You have more than you know. I have no home. You have this forest. I have no family." He was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke softly. "You have me." Elara looked up. There was no pity in his face. No lies. Only quiet certainty. For the first time since entering the Forbidden Woods, she did not feel completely alone. A cold wind swept through the trees. Aeron rose. "The enemies who hunted your bloodline will come if they sense your children." She touched her stomach again. "My children are in danger already." "Yes." Fear settled inside her heart. She had never wanted power. She had never wanted a throne. But these tiny lives inside her suddenly became everything. Aeron held out his hand. "Come." She looked at him. "Where are we going?" "Home." He placed his palm against the trunk of the silver tree. The bark glowed. A deep rumble shook the ground. Roots moved aside. A hidden doorway appeared beneath the tree. Elara's eyes widened. Stone stairs disappeared into darkness. Aeron stepped forward. She hesitated only a moment before following him. The passage opened into an enormous underground hall. Golden fire suddenly burst to life along the walls. Elara gasped. It was a palace. An ancient palace hidden beneath the forest. Tall pillars rose toward a ceiling covered in stars painted in silver and gold. Beautiful banners hung untouched by time. At the center stood a throne carved from white stone. Everything looked as if someone had left only yesterday. "What is this place?" Aeron smiled faintly. "The First Kingdom." She slowly turned in a circle. "This has been beneath the forest all this time. Waiting. For who?" He looked directly at her. "For you." The words sent a shiver through her. Aeron led her through endless halls. There were libraries, gardens growing beneath magical light, rooms filled with ancient weapons. Finally they entered a chamber with a large bed beside a flowing underground stream. "You may stay here." Elara touched the soft blanket. No one had ever given her a room before. She had always slept in a tiny corner of the healer's house. Everything felt unreal. Aeron stepped toward the door. "You need rest." She suddenly looked up. "Why are you helping me?" He became very still. For a moment his golden eyes seemed filled with old sorrow. "Because I made a promise." "To whom?" He looked away. "One day I will tell you." Then he left. The door closed. Silence filled the room. Elara sat on the edge of the bed. Her hand rested on her stomach. Children. She was carrying children. The thought frightened her. It also filled her with a strange warmth. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I will protect you. She did not know if the babies could hear her, but saying the words made her feel stronger. Days passed, then weeks. The underground kingdom slowly became home. Aeron taught her many things. The history of the First Kingdom. The powers hidden in royal blood. The truth about the moon goddess and the ancient kings. He also taught her how to fight. At first she could barely hold a sword. Then she learned. Every day she became stronger. Her body changed. Her eyes seemed brighter. Her senses sharper. The frightened Omega girl slowly began to disappear. One evening she stood beside an underground lake while Aeron watched. Again. She lifted her hand. Nothing happened. She sighed. I cannot. You can. I have tried 100 times. Then try 100 more. She closed her eyes. The lake became still. She thought of her children. She thought of the pain of rejection. She thought of the night she had been left to die. Something warm rose inside her. Suddenly silver light burst from her hands. The water lifted into the air. Elara gasped. Aeron smiled. There she is. The water circled her like a shining ribbon. She laughed. For the first time in many months she laughed. The sound echoed through the cave. Then pain suddenly struck her. She bent forward. Aeron was beside her instantly. What happened? Another pain came. Stronger. Elara grabbed his arm. Fear flashed across his face. The children are coming. What? Another pain tore through her. Hours later the hidden palace was filled with cries. Then silence. Then the cry of a baby. Tiny cry. Then another. Aeron stood beside the bed completely frozen. Elara held 2 small bundles in her arms. A girl. And a boy. The little girl had her silver hair. The boy had dark hair like midnight. Both opened their eyes. One pair glowed violet. The other glowed blue. Elara smiled through her tears. They are beautiful. Aeron looked at the children and slowly knelt. His expression was filled with wonder. The royal line lives. The little boy suddenly reached out and grabbed Aeron's finger. Golden light flashed through the room. Aeron's eyes widened. Then the little girl giggled. Silver light appeared around her tiny body. The room shook. The candles flickered. Aeron became very still. What is wrong? He looked at the twins. Then at Elara. His face had gone pale. These children are far more powerful than I feared. Fear gripped her heart. What do you mean? He lifted his eyes slowly. Their powers awakened the moment they were born. The babies slept peacefully in her arms. They looked so small, so innocent. Aeron's voice dropped to a whisper. And if the wrong people discover they exist, they will cross kingdoms to take them from you. 5 years passed like falling snow. The hidden kingdom beneath the forbidden woods no longer felt like a prison. Felt like home. Morning sunlight poured through cracks in the stone ceiling and touched the underground gardens. Flowers bloomed beside silver streams. Birds nested in the branches of ancient trees that somehow grew beneath the earth. Laughter echoed through the halls. A little boy ran across the marble floor. A little girl chased him. Lucian, stop. You have to catch me first. The boy laughed and jumped onto a stone bench. His dark hair was messy and his blue eyes sparkled with mischief. The girl folded her arms. You cheated. I did not. You used your powers. I only used a little. The little girl sighed. You always use a little. Elara stood in the garden watching them. A smile touched her lips. Her children were everything. Lyra had inherited her silver hair and violet eyes. Lucian looked more like his father every day. Sometimes that hurt. Sometimes it did not. She had learned to live with old wounds. Mother! Lyra ran toward her. A crown of flowers rested on her head. Look what I made. Elara knelt and kissed her forehead. It is beautiful. Lucian suddenly appeared beside them. I made something too. He opened his hand. A tiny ball of golden light floated above his palm. Elara's smile faded. The children had grown stronger every year. Far too strong. They could move water, speak with animals, make flowers bloom. Sometimes strange lights appeared around them while they slept. Aeron believed their powers came from both bloodlines, the lost royal line, and the blood of an alpha prince. But their gifts also frightened him, because powerful things attracted dangerous people. A shadow appeared across the garden. Aeron approached slowly. He looked exactly as he had 5 years ago. Time never touched him. His dark hair moved softly in the wind. Golden eyes rested on the twins. They are training again. Lucian grinned. We are winning. Aeron folded his arms. You were supposed to be studying. We finished. No, you did not. We almost finished. Aeron tried to look serious. Then he smiled. The twins cheered and hugged him. Elara watched them. For years Aeron had become family. Teacher. Protector. Friend. She trusted him with her life. Aeron looked at her. You should come. Where? To the lake. Something in his voice made her curious. The children ran ahead. Elara followed him through the ancient halls and into a hidden cave. The underground lake shimmered like glass. She had not visited this place in months. Aeron stopped near the water. What is it? Instead of answering, he handed her a sword. She frowned. I have not trained today. Today is different. She took the sword. Then she froze. A reflection stared back at her from the lake. She barely recognized herself. The frightened girl who had entered the forest was gone. Her silver hair reached her waist. Her eyes seemed brighter. Confidence rested in her face. Strength in her shoulders. She looked like a queen. Aeron watched her carefully. You have changed. So have my children. You are ready. She looked at him. For what? Before he could answer, footsteps echoed behind them. The twins entered the cave. Lucian suddenly stopped. His face became pale. Do you hear that? Everyone became still. A distant sound echoed through the water. Howl. Then another. Aeron's expression darkened. The children moved closer to Elara. Another howl came. This one was closer. Far too close. The hidden kingdom had remained secret for years. No one should know this place existed. Aeron's hand moved to his sword. Take the children. What is happening? I do not know yet. The howls grew louder. Then came another sound. A step. Many footsteps. Aeron's eyes narrowed. They found us. Fear spread through Elara's chest. Who? He looked toward the darkness. Hunters. A figure suddenly appeared at the entrance of the cave. Then another. Then 10 more. Wolves dressed in black armor stepped into the light. Their leader carried a silver spear. His face was hidden beneath a hood. The twins clung to Elara. The stranger slowly removed his hood. A scar crossed his cheek. Cold gray eyes settled on Elara. For one terrible moment nobody moved. Then the man smiled. I finally found you. Elara had never seen him before. Yet fear raced through her body. The man looked at the children. His smile widened. And there they are. Aeron stepped in front of them. You should have stayed dead. The stranger laughed. I have been called many things. Dead is not one of them. Elara stared at him. You know him. Aeron's voice became ice. His name is Varric. The man bowed. It is an honor. The name meant nothing to Elara. But the hatred in Aeron's face said everything. Varric looked at the twins again. The children are even more beautiful than I imagined. A cold feeling settled inside her stomach. How do you know about them? I know many things. He took another step. I know you are the lost princess. Another step. I know the children carry royal blood. Another. And I know kingdoms would burn to possess them. The twins hid behind Elara. Aeron's power filled the cave. Golden light spread around him. Leave. Varric smiled. I did not come to leave. The soldiers behind him drew their weapons. I came to take what belongs to my king. Elara tightened her grip on the children. No. Varric looked at her almost kindly. You have no idea who you are or what your children are worth. I will never let you touch them. He sighed. Then this becomes unpleasant. Aeron stepped forward. The cave trembled. Take one more step and you die. Silence. Even the water became still. Varric looked directly into Aeron's eyes. Then he said something that made the Alpha King's face change. The prince knows. Elara's breath caught. What prince? Varric smiled. Kael Thornheart. The name struck her like a blade. He has begun searching for a dead Omega. Her heart stopped. Varric's smile widened. And yesterday he saw a woman in the market who looked exactly like you. Silence filled the cave. Aeron slowly turned toward Elara. She had gone pale. 5 years. 5 years of peace. And suddenly the past had found her again. Varric lifted his spear. He is coming. The words echoed like thunder. Then he pointed directly at the twins. And when he arrives he will discover that he has children. And when he arrives he will discover that he has children. The words seemed to freeze the air. Elara could not breathe. For 5 years she had buried that part of her life deep inside her heart. She had locked away every memory of the prince who rejected her. Every tear. Every wound. Now his name had returned. And it carried danger with it. Lucian looked up at her. Mother, who is Kael? She swallowed hard. Before she could answer, Aeron's voice filled the cave. You will not speak his name again. Golden light burst around him. The lake rippled violently. Varric smiled. There he is. The mighty Alpha King. Aeron took another step. The ground cracked beneath his feet. You came into my kingdom and threatened my family. Varric lifted his spear. I came with an offer. We are not interested. You should hear it first. Aeron's eyes narrowed. Varric looked at Elara. The Northern Kingdom knows who you are. They know your bloodline survived. Fear settled heavily inside her chest. They want my children. They want the throne. Silence. Varric smiled again. Those children carry power not seen for 1,000 years. Lyra hid behind Elara's dress. We do not want a throne. Varric's expression softened. Little princess. It does not matter what you want. Aeron raised his hand. Golden fire appeared in his palm. Enough. The soldiers immediately stepped back. They looked terrified. Even Varric's smile faded. I see death has not weakened you. It has made me patient. And if I refuse to leave? Aeron's eyes became cold. Then your bones will remain in this cave forever. For a long moment no one moved. Then Varric sighed. Very well. He stepped backward. But I have delivered my warning. He looked directly at Elara. The prince searches for you. Then he looked at the twins. And others search for them. The soldiers disappeared into the darkness. Their footsteps slowly faded. Silence remained. No one spoke. The cave suddenly felt colder. Lucian finally broke the silence. Mother. She looked down. Is that man telling the truth? She could not answer. Because the answer was yes. Aeron placed a hand on her shoulder. We need to leave. Leave. The hidden kingdom is no longer safe. The words hurt. This place had become home. The only home she had ever truly known. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Are we going away? Aeron knelt beside her. Only for a little while. She wrapped her arms around his neck. I do not want to leave. Neither did Elara. But she understood. Danger had found them. And danger never knocked only once. That night they packed only what they needed. Few clothes, some food, ancient maps. The twins carried their favorite wooden toys. When everything was ready they stood in the great hall. The ancient throne looked lonely in the golden light. Elara turned slowly. Every corner of this place held memories. Her children's first steps, their laughter, her long days of training, her nights of tears. She felt as though she were leaving part of herself behind. Aeron walked toward her. "We will return. You sound certain." "I am." She looked at him. "You always sound certain." He smiled faintly. "Someone has to." She laughed softly. It was a sad sound. Then they left. The hidden doors closed behind them. The forest greeted them with cool air and silver moonlight. The twins looked around excitedly. They had never traveled beyond the ancient kingdom. Everything was new. Everything was wonderful. By morning they reached a mountain path. From there the world spread beneath them. Green valleys, rivers, distant villages. Lucian's eyes widened. "The world is huge." Aeron smiled. "And you have only seen a small part of it." They continued traveling. For 3 days they moved through forests and crossed rivers. At night they camped beneath the stars. The children loved every moment. Elara tried to enjoy it too. But unease followed her. She could not stop thinking about Kael. Was he truly searching for her? Why now? 5 years had passed. Why now? On the 4th day they reached a small village. The market square was crowded. People laughed and traded goods. The smell of fresh bread filled the air. The twins stared in amazement. "Can we look around?" Elara hesitated. Aeron nodded. "Stay close." The children ran ahead. For a little while everything felt normal. Then someone bumped into her. They turned. An old woman stood there. The woman looked at her face. Then her eyes widened. "You!" Elara frowned. "Do I know you?" The woman took a step back. "You cannot be. What is it?" The old woman began shaking. "I saw you die." Cold spread through Elara's body. She knew that face. The woman had once lived near her old pack. The woman whispered her name. "Elara!" Silence. The market sound seemed to disappear. The old woman looked terrified. Then suddenly she turned and ran. Aeron appeared beside her immediately. "What happened?" She looked at him. "Someone recognized me." His expression changed. "Then we leave now." But it was already too late. A horse's cry echoed through the village. Then another. People moved aside. A group of riders entered the square. Their black cloaks carried the crest of the crescent moon pack. Elara's heart stopped. At the front rode a tall man with dark hair. The moment he lifted his head she forgot how to breathe. 5 years had changed him. His face looked harder, older. A faint scar crossed his jaw. But his blue eyes were the same. Those eyes searched the crowd. Then found her. Everything became still. The world seemed to hold its breath. Kael stared at her as though he had seen a ghost. She could not move. Neither could he. The twins returned carrying pieces of fruit. Lucian looked between them. Then at Kael. His little face filled with confusion. The prince slowly stepped off his horse. His hands were shaking. One step. Then another. He looked only at her. His voice came out rough and broken. "Elara!" Hearing her name in his voice after 5 years felt like reopening an old wound. She said nothing. He took another step. 1,000 emotions crossed his face. Relief, pain, guilt. "You are alive." She finally found her voice. "Yes." The simple word seemed to break something inside him. Then his eyes moved. Toward the children. Toward the little boy with his dark hair. Toward the little girl with silver hair. He became completely still. The color drained from his face. Lucian looked at him curiously. Then he smiled. The same smile Kael himself wore. The prince stared at the boy. The boy stared back. And deep inside his soul something awakened. Bond. Pull. Truth. Kael whispered only one word. "No." Then Lucian tilted his head and asked the question that changed everything. "Mother." He pointed at the prince. "Why does this man look like me?" "Mother. Why does this man look like me?" The question fell into the market like a stone into still water. No one moved. No one breathed. Kael stared at the little boy. Lucian stared back with innocent curiosity. The same dark hair. The same blue eyes. Even the way the child tilted his head was painfully familiar. Kael's face lost all color. His hands trembled. He looked at Elara. Then at the boy. Then back at Elara. A terrible understanding began to grow inside him. Elara felt her heart pounding against her ribs. This moment had always lived somewhere in her nightmares. She had imagined it many times. But now that it was here, she did not know what to do. The entire market seemed to disappear around them. Only silence remained. Then Lyra stepped closer to her mother and took her hand. "Mother, who is he?" The little girl's voice broke the spell. Kael looked at her too. Silver hair. Violet eyes. A child who looked so much like Elara. His throat tightened. 2 children. His knees suddenly felt weak. Aeron stepped forward and placed himself between Kael and the family. His golden eyes were cold. "That is close enough." Kael looked at him for the first time. Confusion flashed across his face. Then shock. He knew the stories. Every wolf did. The face before him belonged to a legend. The first Alpha King. Aeron said nothing. Kael slowly looked back at Elara. Nothing made sense. The dead were walking. The woman he had mourned stood alive before him. And 2 children looked at him with familiar eyes. "Elara!" His voice was rough. "Please tell me I am wrong." She could not speak. 5 years of pain sat between them. 5 years of loneliness. 5 years of raising her children without him. Kael took another step. "Are they mine?" The words came out almost as a whisper. Lucian frowned. "What does mine mean?" Elara's eyes filled with tears. The little boy did not understand. How could he? He had never known another parent. She knelt before her children. Her hands shook. "These men are from my old home." Lucian looked confused. "You had another home?" "Yes." "Then why did you leave?" She could not answer. Because the truth would break their hearts. Kael closed his eyes. The pain in her voice told him everything. When he opened them again, they were shining. "They are my children." Silence. No one denied it. No one could. Lucian looked at Kael again. Then at his own hands. Then back at the prince. A slow smile appeared on his face. "You are my father." The words struck Kael harder than any blade. Father. He had never imagined hearing that word. Not from this child. Not here. Not now. A strange sound escaped him. Half laugh. Half sob. He dropped to one knee. Tears burned his eyes. "I did not know." Lucian looked at him carefully. "You did not." "No. Mother never talked about you." Kael lowered his head. The shame nearly crushed him. Of course she had not. He had rejected her. He had let her be taken to the Forbidden Woods. He had believed she died there. Every night since then he had seen her face in his dreams. Every night he had heard her scream. Aeron's voice cut through the silence. "You have seen enough." Kael looked up. "No. You will leave." "I cannot." The Alpha King stepped forward. The air suddenly became heavy. "You lost the right to this family the night you abandoned her." The words hit like thunder. Kael flinched. Because they were true. Elara slowly stood. For a long moment she simply looked at him. The prince she once loved looked tired. Broken. There were shadows beneath his eyes. Pain in every line of his face. But old wounds did not disappear because someone looked sorry. "Why are you searching for me?" He swallowed. "Because I learned the truth." Her heart skipped. "What truth?" He looked away. Then back at her. "The accusations against you were lies." Silence. The market suddenly felt cold. "I know." His eyes widened. "You know. I have known for 5 years." Pain crossed his face. "I tried to find you. Too late. I thought you were dead." "I almost was." The words cut deeply. Kael looked as though he had been struck. His voice became barely audible. I never wanted you harmed. Anger rose inside her. For years she had buried it. Now it returned. You rejected me in front of everyone. His face tightened. You watched them sentence me to death. I know. You let me walk into the forbidden woods alone. I know. Tears gathered in her eyes. And now you appear and ask questions about children you never knew existed. Silence. The entire market watched. No one dared move. Kael looked shattered. I deserve your anger. Yes. I deserve your hatred. She said nothing, because she did not know if she hated him anymore, or if she had simply become tired of carrying the pain. Kael looked at the twins. I cannot change the past. No. But I want to know them. Aeron laughed softly. There was no humor in it. You want many things. Golden power flickered around him. But wanting does not mean deserving. Kael slowly stood. His eyes never left the children. Then something unexpected happened. Lyra stepped away from her mother. She walked toward him. Elara's heart nearly stopped. The little girl stopped in front of the prince. She looked up at him. You are my father. Kael nodded slowly. Tears filled his eyes again. Yes. She studied his face. Then she asked the question he feared most. Why did you leave us? Silence. The words pierced straight through his heart. He could not answer. Because there was no answer that a child would understand. Because there was no excuse. The little girl waited. When he said nothing, her face fell. She turned around and walked back to Elara. The small movement hurt him more than anything. A rider suddenly entered the market at full speed. His horse nearly slipped on the stones. The man jumped down and ran toward Kael. Your Highness. Kael frowned. What happened? The soldier looked terrified. It is the palace. A cold feeling spread through the square. The queen-to-be has been arrested. Kael's eyes narrowed. Celine. The man nodded. Then he whispered the words that changed everything. We found proof that she murdered your parents. We found proof that she murdered your parents. The words struck Kael like a hammer. For a moment he simply stared at the soldier. The market noise disappeared. The wind disappeared. Everything disappeared. Only those terrible words remained. Murdered your parents. No. The word left his lips in a whisper. The soldier lowered his head. It is true. Kael's hands slowly curled into fists. My parents died during a hunting accident. That is what everyone believed. The soldier swallowed hard. But hidden records were discovered in the royal archives this morning. Silence. The man's voice shook. There were witnesses. They were paid to remain silent. Kael looked as though the ground had vanished beneath him. Elara watched him carefully. She had never seen him look afraid before. Now he looked completely broken. The soldier continued. The records also mention Lady Celine. A shadow crossed Kael's face. No. Your Highness. No. His voice became harder. She was a child when my parents died. The soldier hesitated. She was older than she claimed. Kael's breathing changed. Low. Heavy. Dangerous. And there is more. The market became silent again. The soldier looked directly at Elara. Lady Celine confessed that she accused this woman of witchcraft. No one moved. The soldier's next words cut through the air. She admitted it was all a lie. A long silence followed. Then Kael closed his eyes. Pain crossed his face. Every memory returned. Elara crying in chains. The stones. The fear in her eyes. The gates closing behind her. He had condemned an innocent woman. His mate. The mother of his children. A sound escaped his throat. It almost sounded like grief. Elara looked away. She could not watch him break. Not after everything. Suddenly a deep horn echoed from somewhere far away. Everyone looked up. Then came another. And another. Aeron's expression changed. The Alpha King turned toward the northern hills. The wind carried a strange smell. Smoke. Blood. Or, Aeron became very still. They are here. Kael frowned. Who? Before anyone could answer, another rider appeared. This one wore black armor. He fell from his horse. His entire body was covered in blood. Run! The man could barely breathe. Run! Aeron reached him first. What happened? The wounded man looked up. Fear filled his eyes. The Northern Kingdom crossed the border. Silence. They brought an army. The entire market erupted into panic. People screamed. Children cried. Shopkeepers abandoned their stalls. The wounded soldier grabbed Aeron's arm. They are searching for the Royal Heirs. Elara's heart stopped. Twins. They had come for the twins. Lucian and Lyra moved closer to her. Fear shone in their eyes. Kael looked at the children, then at Aeron, then at the frightened people running through the streets. His face hardened. How many? The soldier swallowed. Thousands. Aeron slowly stood. The war has begun. Dark smoke appeared above the distant trees. Then another horn echoed. Closer this time. The enemy was coming fast. Kael looked at Elara. You need to leave. She shook her head. No. They are coming for the children. I know. Then go. Aeron's voice became calm. She is not running anymore. Elara looked at him. The Alpha King nodded once. Something inside her changed. For years she had hidden. For years she had protected her children in silence. But danger had followed them anyway. There would always be another enemy. Another hunter. Another threat. Unless she finally stood and fought. She looked at the twins. Then at the frightened villagers. Then toward the smoke rising beyond the hills. I am tired of running. The words surprised even her. Aeron smiled. There she is. Kael stared at her. The shy Omega girl he remembered was gone. A queen stood before him. A woman with strength in her eyes. A woman he no longer knew. Another horn sounded. Then came the first scream. The enemy had reached the outer farms. A rider burst into the square. They are here. Panic exploded. Aeron looked at Kael. You still command these people. Kael nodded. Then lead them. Without another word the prince turned. His voice rang across the square. Take the children into the stone houses. People obeyed immediately. Every warrior gathered at the eastern gate. Men and women ran in every direction. Fear changed into purpose. Kael looked at Elara again. Stay behind me. She almost laughed. Instead she drew the sword from her side. No. The silver blade caught the sunlight. Shock crossed his face. She had learned to fight. Aeron handed her another weapon. An ancient dagger carved with moon symbols. It belonged to your mother. Her fingers tightened around it. A strange warmth spread through her hand. Then came another scream. This one much closer. The first enemy soldiers appeared at the end of the street. Black armor. Silver spears. Cold eyes. There were hundreds. Then thousands. The northern army poured into the valley like a dark river. At their front rode Varric. He smiled when he saw them. I warned you. Aeron stepped forward. Golden light exploded around him. The enemy horses panicked. The ground trembled. Varric raised his sword. Take the heirs. The soldiers charged. Everything happened at once. Kael shifted. A massive black wolf burst into the square. Other wolves followed. The sound of battle filled the air. Elara pulled the twins behind her. Then a soldier reached them. She moved without thinking. Her sword flashed. The man fell. For a moment she simply stared. She had never taken a life before. Then another soldier came. Then another. There was no time to think. Only survive. Only protect. A scream made her turn. Lyra stood frozen. A soldier was running toward her. Elara moved. But she was too far away. The man raised his sword. Then something impossible happened. Lyra's eyes suddenly glowed silver. The air exploded. A wave of light burst from the little girl. The soldier flew through the air and crashed into a wall. Silence. Even the battle seemed to pause. Lyra looked at her hands in horror. I did not do that. Lucian stepped in front of his sister. His blue eyes began to shine. Golden light surrounded him. The ground beneath the enemy soldiers cracked open. Aeron stared at the children. No. Varric looked delighted. There it is. Fear entered the Alpha King's eyes. The twins' powers had awakened. And everyone had seen. Varric lifted his sword and laughed. The Royal Heirs have returned. The enemy army roared. Thousands of eyes turned toward the children. Aeron's face became grim, because he knew something terrible. From this moment forward the twins would never be hidden again. And then he felt it. Sharp pain. A burning sensation. He looked down. A black arrow was buried in his side. Poison. His golden light flickered. Elara's eyes widened. Aeron. The Alpha King staggered. Then he fell to one knee. And the enemy army charged again. Aeron fell to one knee. The world seemed to stop. Blood spread across his dark clothing. The black arrow trembled in his side. Elara's heart nearly stopped. No. She ran to him. Another enemy soldier rushed toward her. A silver blade flashed. Kael reached her first. In his wolf form he tore the soldier aside and shifted back into his human shape. Get the children. Her eyes never left Aeron. He is hurt. I know. The Alpha King tried to stand. He failed. A dark stain spread across the ground beneath him. His golden eyes had already begun to dim. Aeron touched the arrow and looked at his fingers. Black poison. His expression changed. This poison was made for me. Varric laughed from the middle of the battlefield. Of course it was. Smoke filled the valley. Wolves fought in every direction. Steel clashed. People screamed. The battle had become chaos. Varric slowly approached. I spent years searching for a weapon that could kill the great Alpha King. He smiled. And I finally found one. Elara knelt beside Aeron. Tell me how to save you. He looked at her. For the first time she saw weakness in his face. There may not be time. No. Her voice shook. You do not get to die. A faint smile touched his lips. You sound angry. I am. She gripped his hand tightly. You promised we would return home. The smile faded. Aeron looked at her as if trying to remember every detail of her face. Then another wave of enemies rushed toward them. Kael stepped in front of the family. His sword moved like lightning. One man fell. Then another. Then another. But there were too many. Lucian and Lyra stood close together. Fear filled their young faces. Suddenly Lyra looked at Aeron. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Please do not leave us. The little girl's voice broke something inside him. Aeron slowly reached up and touched her hair. I will always be with you. No. She shook her head fiercely. You cannot go. Lucian grabbed his sister's hand. His eyes glowed again. Golden light surrounded both children. The air became strangely warm. Elara looked at them. What is happening? The twins did not answer. They seemed to be listening to something far away. Then together they stepped toward Aeron. They placed their small hands over the wound. Aeron's eyes widened. Silver and gold light burst from the children. The battlefield froze. Everyone turned. The light became brighter. The poison around the arrow began to disappear. Elara stared in disbelief. The children were healing him. Varric's smile vanished. No. The light grew stronger. The arrow suddenly flew from Aeron's body and landed on the ground. The wound closed. Silence spread across the valley. Aeron looked at the twins. Wonder filled his face. The children had not only awakened powers. They carried ancient healing magic. Magic that had disappeared 1,000 years ago. Varric's expression turned ugly. We must take them now. He raised his sword. The enemy army charged again. Aeron slowly stood. Golden power exploded around him. The sky darkened. The earth trembled. The Alpha King looked terrifying. You should have killed me when you had the chance. Fear appeared on the faces of the enemy soldiers. Aeron lifted his hand. A wave of golden fire swept across the battlefield. The attackers were thrown backward. Varric stumbled. For the first time he looked uncertain. Kael stared at Aeron. The stories had not exaggerated. This man was a force of nature. A king from legend. Then a horn echoed from the hills. Everyone looked up. Another army was coming. For one terrible moment Elara thought more enemies had arrived. Then she saw the banners. A silver moon and a white crown. The old royal symbol. Aeron smiled. They remembered. Hundreds of riders stormed down the hill. At their front rode an elderly woman in white armor. She leaped from her horse and knelt before Elara. My queen! Silence! The words echoed through the valley. The warriors behind her also knelt. My queen! My queen! Elara could only stare. The woman looked up with tears in her eyes. We have searched for you for many years. Aeron stepped beside her. They are the last loyal soldiers of the First Kingdom. The old woman smiled. We never stopped believing our princess lived. Tears filled Elara's eyes. She had spent her life believing she was alone. Now hundreds of warriors knelt before her, ready to fight for her, ready to die for her. Varric looked horrified. This cannot be. Aeron's voice became cold. It is over. The royal soldiers charged. The enemy lines broke. Panic spread through the northern army. Men dropped their weapons. Others fled. Varric turned his horse. He tried to escape. A silver blade flew through the air. It landed in the ground before him. Elara stepped forward. The battlefield became quiet. Varric slowly looked at her. She no longer looked like the frightened Omega he had expected. She looked like a queen. He swallowed. You should have stayed hidden. She continued walking. You tried to steal my children. Another step. You hunted my family. Another. You brought war to innocent people. She stopped before him. You lose. Varric reached for his sword. Aeron's power pinned him in place. The man could not move. Fear finally filled his eyes. Elara picked up the fallen blade. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she lowered the sword. I will not become a monster. She handed the weapon to the royal guards. Take him. The soldiers dragged him away. The battle was over. Smoke drifted through the valley. The wounded were carried to safety. The children ran to Aeron and hugged him. He held them tightly. Then someone approached slowly. His clothes were covered in blood. Exhaustion filled his face. He stopped before Elara. Neither of them spoke. The wind moved softly around them. Finally he lowered himself onto one knee. The prince of the Crescent Moon pack bowed his head. I was wrong. Silence. I failed you. His voice shook. I failed our children. Tears shone in his eyes. And I have regretted it every day. The entire valley watched. A prince was kneeling before the woman he once rejected. I do not ask for forgiveness. He looked up. I only ask for a chance to make things right. Elara looked at him. At the man she had once loved. At the father of her children. Before she could answer, a scream echoed across the battlefield. Everyone turned. A wounded soldier pointed toward the northern mountains. A black banner had appeared. Then another. Then 10 more. Aeron's expression darkened. No. The old woman beside him went pale. What is it? The Alpha King looked toward the distant army. His voice became very quiet. The true enemy has finally arrived. The black banners moved like a storm across the mountains. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. The sun disappeared behind dark clouds and a cold wind swept through the valley. Everyone who had survived the battle stood frozen. The enemy army they had just defeated suddenly seemed small. Aeron's face had become hard as stone. Elara looked at him. You know them. He nodded slowly. I prayed I would never see those banners again. The old woman beside him looked terrified. The Shadow Legion. The name spread through the valley like poison. Even Kael frowned. He had never heard it before. Who are they? Aeron's golden eyes remained fixed on the distant army. The army that destroyed the First Kingdom. Silence. Elara felt her heart skip. The people who murdered my family. Yes. The answer came softly. A rider emerged from the sea of black banners. Then another. Then 10 more. At their center rode a man wearing black armor. His cloak was dark red. A crown of iron rested on his head. His face was handsome and terrible at the same time. One long scar crossed his left eye. The moment he entered the valley, the air seemed colder. He stopped his horse. Then he smiled. My old friend. Aeron's eyes narrowed. You should be dead. The man laughed. You said that 1,000 years ago. The sound made Elara's skin crawl. The stranger slowly looked at her. Then at the twins. A strange light appeared in his eyes. So it is true. He climbed from his horse. The Royal Bloodline survived. The children moved closer to Elara. The man smiled at them. I have searched a very long time for you. Kael stepped forward. Who are you? The stranger finally looked at him. You may call me King Malachar. Aeron's expression darkened even more. He was my brother. Silence. Elara looked at him in shock. Your brother? Aeron nodded. He betrayed our kingdom and led the massacre. Malachar spread his arms. History is always so cruel to the victor. You slaughtered innocent people. I built an empire. You murdered children. I removed threats. The words were spoken without emotion. Without regret. Elara suddenly understood. This man had no heart. Malachar looked at her. You have your mother's eyes. She felt cold. You knew my mother. I killed her. The valley fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Malachar smiled as though he had commented on the weather. I remember her final moments. A sharp pain filled Elara's chest. Aeron took a step forward. Golden power exploded around him. You will not speak another word. Malachar simply laughed. You are still angry. Then his eyes moved to the twins. And these must be the heirs. Lucian stepped in front of his sister. You are bad. The king smiled. Very smart. I do not like you. That hurts my feelings. Aeron looked at Elara. His voice became low. He did not come for war. Then why is he here? He came for them. The truth struck like lightning. Twins. Everything had always been about the twins. Malachar nodded. The children belong with me. No. The word burst from Elara. The king sighed. I was afraid you would say that. He raised one hand. Thousands of soldiers stepped forward. The ground trembled. Malachar looked almost disappointed. Then we do this the hard way. Kael stepped beside Elara. Then Aeron. Then the royal soldiers. No one moved back. No one ran. The valley held its breath. Malachar's smile slowly faded. You would all die for one woman and 2 children. Aeron answered him. We would die for our family. For the first time something flashed across the Dark King's face. Sadness vanished immediately. Then he lifted his sword. The Shadow Legion charged. The final battle began. Everything became noise. The thunder of running feet. Kael fought beside Aeron. 2 Alpha Kings. One from the present. One from legend. Together they carved through the enemy lines. Elara protected the children. But the enemy kept coming. Too many. Far too many. Then Malachar walked through the battle. Nothing touched him. No sword reached him. No warrior could stop him. His eyes remained fixed on the twins. He was almost upon them when Lucian suddenly stepped forward. Stop! Golden light burst from the little boy. The ground cracked. Malachar paused. Then Lyra stepped beside her brother. Silver light surrounded her. The two powers joined together. The entire valley began to shake. Aeron looked at the children in shock. No. The twins turned toward him. Their eyes glowed. What is happening? Aeron's voice became soft. The bloodline has awakened. The children lifted their hands. A beam of silver and gold light shot into the sky. Dark clouds disappeared. Sunlight poured over the valley. The enemy soldiers stumbled backward. Some fell to their knees. Malachar stared upward. For the first time in centuries, fear entered his face. No. Ancient symbols appeared on the children's skin. Power flowed around them like rivers of light. Aeron suddenly understood. Tears filled his eyes. They are not only heirs. Elara looked at him. What do you mean? His voice trembled. They are the beginning of a new age. The twins lowered their hands. The light swept across the battlefield. Every dark banner burst into flames. Every weapon shattered. The Shadow Legion collapsed. Their power had been broken. Malachar stood alone. His empire had vanished in a single moment. He looked at the children. Then he laughed. Sad laugh. So this is how my story ends. He slowly lowered his sword. Aeron approached him. The brothers looked at each other for a long time. 1,000 years of pain stood between them. Malachar smiled faintly. You won. Aeron shook his head. No. He looked at the twins. They did. The Dark King closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the cruelty was gone. Only exhaustion remained. I am tired. Aeron's expression softened. So am I. For one brief moment they looked like brothers again. Then Malachar turned toward Elara. Take care of them. Before anyone could move, he drove his own sword into the ground. A dark mist rose around him. The wind carried it away. When it disappeared, he was gone. Only his crown remained. Silence filled the valley. Then slowly the surviving soldiers began to kneel. One by one. Then hundreds. Then thousands. They all looked at Elara. The old woman stepped forward and raised a golden crown. My queen. The valley echoed with the words. My queen. My queen. Tears filled Elara's eyes. She looked at Aeron. Then at Kael. Then at her children. The frightened Omega who had once been thrown into the forbidden woods was gone. In her place stood the last daughter of the First Kingdom. The true queen. She accepted the crown. And as it touched her head, the sunlight broke through the clouds and covered the valley in gold.